Before E.T., before Indiana Jones, before Steven Spielberg became Spielberg, he made a movie he would later admit he hated, a film he wrote in the chaos and exhaustion of Jaws, a movie NASA tried to shut down, and a movie that nearly used an orangutan in a silver alien suit. This is Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And here are 20 facts even superfans never saw coming, because Close Encounters isn't just a film, it's a feeling. It doesn't sit on your screen, it sits in your spirit. It's a childhood curiosity. Have you ever stared at the night sky and wondered what's really out there? That electric suspicion that maybe, just maybe, we aren't alone. And here's the part almost no one knows. Spielberg made a bold choice that would change his entire career. You won't see why until fact number 20. Would you believe it started with sharks, a panicked ape, and a house they actually bought for destruction? Number 1. Spielberg hated the version we all saw. We're starting at the end, because this one fact reshapes everything you're about to hear. Spielberg was forced by Columbia Pictures to release the film early because the studio was drowning in debt. He later admitted no movie of his was harder to edit, and he loathed the final theatrical cut. Years later, he went back, reworked it, added new footage, and released the special edition, the version he actually considers his. He basically disowned the original. And believe it or not, the story leading up to that disaster is even crazier, and it's not even the studio that fought him the hardest. Number 2. NASA and the Air Force wanted nothing to do with it. NASA and the US Air Force flat out refused to assist Spielberg, not because it was silly, but because they feared the film would spark mass UFO panic, the same way Jaws sparked shark fear. Imagine that, a family sci-fi drama considered too dangerous by the government. And the strangest part, this wasn't even the wildest government connection behind the movie. Number 3. The title comes from real, legit UFO research. Close Encounters of the Third Kind wasn't a Hollywood invention. It came from astronomer J. Allen Hynek, who studied UFOs for the US government. Spielberg loved the classification system so much he used it as the title, and Hynek didn't just influence the film. Number 4. The godfather of UFO research walks into the movie. Hynek cameoed during the climactic landing scene. Pipe, beard, academic vibe and all. A blink and you miss it moment that quietly merged real-life science with fictional wonder. But despite that grounded inspiration, the film's origins weren't scientific at all. In fact, the Close Encounters almost belonged to an entirely different genre. Number 5. The version you know wasn't the first story. Spielberg's earliest drafts were horror-tinged, centered on government agents covering up alien encounters. Dark, chaotic, nothing like the emotional film we have now. But those messy early ideas eventually transformed into the warm, ordinary people meet the extraordinary story that defined the movie. And this transformation began somewhere unexpected. Number 6. Spielberg wrote Close Encounters while making Jaws. While battling mechanical sharks, broken animatronics, storms, and production chaos, Spielberg scribbled early Close Encounters ideas on binders, napkins, even Jaws call sheets. The film was literally born in the shadows of another classic, and someone else on that doomed boat noticed. Number 7. Richard Dreyfuss fell in love with the film on another set. On the Jaws set, sunburned, exhausted, splashed with seawater and fake shark guts, Dreyfuss kept hearing Spielberg talk about this UFO movie idea. He begged early for the lead, long before casting even started. Spielberg kept turning him down, but Dreyfuss wouldn't let go. Ironically, many other actors had the opposite reaction. Number 8. Nobody wanted the lead role. Despite Jaws being a smash hit, actors repeatedly refused. They were confused by the script, unsure of the tone, or skeptical of a gentle sci-fi drama. Some thought Spielberg, only 29, was too young for serious science fiction. And here's the heartbreaking part. At 29 years old, he just barely survived Jaws. He was exhausted, doubted himself, and everyone with power kept saying no. But he kept building, kept believing in gentle aliens when the world wanted Star Wars action. That's not just filmmaking, that's faith. And yet, one early contender would become one of the biggest actors in cinema history. Number 9. Meryl Streep could have been Roy's wife. Before she became Meryl Streep, TM, the queen of cinema, she was briefly in the running to play Roy's wife. Imagine Streep navigating alien-induced marital chaos in the 70s, in another universe. It happened, but Spielberg didn't pick her. He picked someone who simply made him laugh. Number 10. Teri Garr got cast, simply because she was funny. Spielberg watched Teri Garr's reel, full of witty, comedic roles, and immediately saw the tone he wanted. No dramatic audition, no long process. She just cracked him up, and that was enough. Okay, Pause. Let me make sure you're getting this. NASA rejected him. Actors rejected him. Columbia was funding this thing like a cryptocurrency scam. Spielberg was writing it while sharks broke, and he's about to bet his entire salary on it. The man was either a genius or completely insane. Spoiler, both. What would you do if your career, your paycheck, and your sanity were all on the line? Number 11. The crew filmed in an abandoned Air Force hangar. The production moved into a massive, sweltering, possibly haunted Air Force hangar in Mobile, Alabama. It let them build the giant landing site set, one of the largest indoor sets ever created at the time. And still, they needed more space. Number 12. They bought a real house and sold it for profit. The team bought an actual suburban home just so they could rip it apart, repaint it, rewire it, and film inside it. When they finished, they restored it, sold it, and even made a profit. Hollywood accounting finally did something right. Notice a pattern? Spielberg kept betting on chaos, bought houses, hired funny people instead of dramatic actors, built sets in haunted hangars, risked his salary, because chaos is where the magic lives, and Columbia's mistake was trying to control it. Number 13. Columbia used tax shelter money to fund the film. Close Encounters was financed through a tax shelter program normally used for risky startup-style investments. Columbia was so broke they funded Close Encounters like a sketchy crypto startup. If this movie flopped, the studio could implode. Spielberg was gambling with someone else's obituary money. The movie you love was funded like a borderline sketchy business experiment, and yet, one part of production was priceless. Number 14. Those 5 notes took forever to create. John Williams and Spielberg tried more than 300 variations before discovering the iconic 5-tone motif. 5 simple notes. That almost drove them insane. But Spielberg's most controversial directing choice wasn't musical. It involved a 4-year-old child and psychological manipulation that would probably get him canceled today. But Spielberg wasn't only experimenting with music, he also used psychology in the cast. Number 15. Spielberg used psychological tricks on his child actor. Cary Guffey, the little boy who sees the aliens, was just 4. Spielberg knew he couldn't direct him like an adult, so he engineered real emotional moments. Hidden crews, sudden lights. Costumed aliens appearing without warning. Spielberg wasn't directing him. He was manipulating reality. And Cary's reactions, pure gold. He was so good, the crew called him One Take Cary. And speaking of kids, number 16. The aliens were little girls in suits. To avoid stiff adult movement, Spielberg cast child dancers ages 6 to 12 to play the aliens. No CGI, just eerie latex suits and graceful natural motion. But before he landed on this sweet idea, he tried something absolutely unhinged. Number 17. Spielberg nearly used an orangutan in an alien costume. Spielberg's first idea, put a real orangutan in a silver alien suit. They actually tested this. Picture it, handlers wrestling a confused ape into tight latex fake alien headpiece. The works. It lasted exactly 10 seconds before the animal lost its mind, shredded the costume, and turned the set into a primate panic room. Spielberg shut it down instantly. But here's what's beautiful. That disaster forced him to use child dancers instead. And those graceful, innocent movements became the soul of the aliens. Sometimes your worst idea dies so your best idea can breathe. His next gamble, though, paid off enormously. Number 18. Spielberg bet against his own movie. Instead of taking his director's salary, Spielberg asked for a percentage of the profits. A risky move since Columbia didn't fully trust the film. When Close Encounters exploded at the box office, $338 million worldwide. That tiny percentage made him millions. Some estimates say $15 to $20 million. One of the smartest financial decisions of his life. But the battle wasn't over. Number 19. Rushed post-production because of studio debt. Columbia was in deep financial trouble, and editing turned into a race against time. Spielberg and editor Michael Kahn worked brutal nights shaping the film under crushing pressure. No wonder Spielberg later said he hated the theatrical cut, and yet that version led directly to something iconic. Number 20. Close Encounters raised an early version of E.T. Spielberg poured his heart into Close Encounters, then watched Columbia butcher it. He hated what the world saw, but those aliens, those gentle, curious beings he fought so hard for, they wouldn't let him go. He tried to make a darker sequel called Night Skies, but something shifted. The warmth won, and from the ashes of Close Encounters came E.T. The film that proved Spielberg's instinct was right all along. The aliens didn't just inspire E.T., they saved Spielberg's belief in what he was trying to say. So there you have it. 20 weird facts about Close Encounters of the Third Kind, a film that survived haunted hangars, orangutan disasters, NASA panic, and a director who didn't even like his own movie. But here's what Columbia Pictures didn't understand. You can't schedule magic, you can't rush wonder, and you definitely can't cage a vision this wild. Spielberg knew that, and when they forced him to release a version he hated, he didn't give up. He came back and fixed it. Then he took those aliens and made E.T., proving his instinct was right all along. The real Close Encounter? Not aliens, chaos itself. And Spielberg, he survived it. And won. Which fact shocked you the most? The ape, NASA panic, or betting everything on a gamble that nearly failed? Drop your number below. And if you think the theatrical cut is actually better than the special edition, I need to hear your defense of that take. If you loved this, you'll adore our deep dive on Young Frankenstein. Until then, keep looking up and keep discovering the stories they never showed you. Hit like, subscribe, and keep discovering the stories the camera never shows.